Hey everyone. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about keeping your child at the dinner table. I get asked a lot about how do I actually get my toddler to stay at the table because maybe it's my 2 year old, maybe it's my 3, 4, 5, 6 year old wants to constantly leave the table and it's getting really frustrating. And how do we get them to stay at the table? They just want to get down, and I get it because it's really frustrating when you go to the trouble of preparing a meal or bringing something home, or it's been a long day and you just want to have that kind of like June Cleaver, Leave It to Beaver moment of everybody sits down and shares about their day and connects and tells funny jokes, and it's just magical moment that you're envisioning. And instead, it probably often feels like I don't want to do dinner. It'd be easier if we just put on Paw Patrol and all ate silently, or the adults looked at their phones or talked to each other while the kids ate and watched Paw Patrol, or people just snacked, or we just kind of snacked enough that we could skip dinner altogether. Because honestly, it can be really frustrating, and it can really take the wind out of your parenting sails when it just feels like you're always dreading dinner time because you know it's going to be a hassle. You know that there's going to be fighting and yelling and screaming and crying, both parent and child, and it's just not going to end well. And so if you feel that way, just comment yes below so that I think other people can see that as they watch this and realize, okay, it's not just me. It's not that I suck at dinner time or at connecting with my child. It's just hard. And so getting up from the table is just one symptom of dinner time distress and drama at dinner time. And I talk with parents a lot because I get asked this question quite frequently. What can we do to decrease the drama at dinner time? And I actually have a workshop that I put on that talks through exactly, it's called No Drama Dinners, and I'll put a link below or off to the side or something like that so that you can watch the workshop and get the information. But I just want to talk through three really quick things that we cover in the workshop, and then the workshop goes into a little bit more detail, but three things from the No Drama Dinners workshop that we talk through, because I think it can be really helpful for families that are just at their wits' end and wondering if they just need to, cave in and cancel dinner altogether, because it does feel tempting to just be like, well, everyone would be peaceful. It'd be a much more quiet and peaceful environment if we just didn't have this family dinner time. And yet I know that it's worth it. And I know that you know deep down inside that it's worth it too, to have family dinner and have that time to connect. But we want it to be more June Cleaver and less Malcolm in the Middle-esque. And so hopefully these strategies and tips will help you. The first thing that I teach parents is just to check yourself before you wreck yourself, which essentially means before you try and force their hand or force them to sit at the table or hold them in the table or buckle them in so they can't leave the table, stop and take a moment and reflect. And you might want to do this not when you're sitting at the dinner table, like in advance or after the fact, or when you're hiding in the bathroom, playing on your phone, trying to have a moment's peace. Why does this matter to me? What is it about dinner time that matters to me that my child is leaving the table? And why is it so frustrating? My guess, there's a couple reasons. And they're mostly about respect. Like, my child doesn't respect me. I look at all the trouble I went to prepare this delicious meal, and you don't seem to care about it. It doesn't matter to you that I worked all this time to put this meal together. Togetherness is another one. Having those June Cleaver moments, or feeling like, well, why can't we just sit down at the table and talk about our day and talk about the joys and sorrows and things that are on our mind and discuss, the weather and Paw Patrol and whatever is on our minds. Why can't we just have that time at the table? Instead, they're leaving the table all the time and getting up or screaming or yelling or doing all these things that just take away from that enjoyment. You probably also could be feeling some guilt, like, I've been busy all day. This is my chance to sit down and connect, and I'm dreading it because I know that it's just going to go very poorly and not bring anybody together at all. It's just going to cause a lot more strife, and then going into the evening and bedtime, like, this is my little bit of time that I have with my children. I want it to be enjoyable. So those, I imagine, might be the reasons. Now, if you have other reasons, then comment below. Maybe it's that you're worried about your child's nutrition and you know that this is the meal where you guys can spend time together and you can really focus. Maybe it's the time and not feeling like you have enough time. Comment below what it is about the dinner time experience that's really bothering you. So the first thing that I always tell parents to do is just check yourself before you wreck yourself, meaning before you get upset, stop and think, what is the value that this is bringing, or what is the value that I want dinner time to represent? And then from there, we can make decisions about how are we going to accomplish that, and how are our values actually going to support what we're doing at the dinner table. Maybe the most important thing is that they eat their broccoli, and the value that I have highest is obedience, and he must eat his broccoli to show me respect and obedience. I would probably challenge you that might not be the wisest way to approach things, but perhaps that's where you're at right now, and perhaps it has to do with family of origin or other things that come into your parenting. Perhaps the value is togetherness and wanting to be together at the table, and then maybe that if we focus in on that, then that could color our decision making for what the table looks like and what dinner time actually looks like, because it might not be exactly what you had pictured June Cleaver-esque, but it could be something that supports the value of togetherness or time spent together or mutual respect for each other. Whatever that value is that you're holding and putting and dinner time is representing, stop and think about that a little bit before we decide how to proceed. If you have an idea, comment below, because I would love to hear it, and I'd love to know what that represents for you. Now, the second thing, regardless of what value you have chosen, is to make dinner time a place your child wants to be. And it takes a little bit on us, going back to the checking ourselves before we wreck ourselves, to get to the point where we can say, okay, I'm the adult, I'm going to show up, and I'm going to show up even though it hurts and it's painful and it's annoying and frustrating and I'm impatient. I'm going to make dinner time a place my child wants to be, because it's going to be easier now than when they're 7. It's going to be easier now when they're 14. And I don't want all of these memories to just continue to accumulate about how bad the dinner experience is. And isn't it so much nicer when we get to watch Paw Patrol over the meal because of that? We want dinner time to be a place that people look forward to coming and connecting. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's separate dinner time or sitting down together for a meal from forcing our child to eat a certain amount that we have prescribed that they need to eat. Let's instead make it about gathering at the table. What could that look like? Well, it could be that mom and dad are eating and the children have their plates, but they also have some crayons and paper, and they can draw about their day. Hey, I'm going to start my broccoli and my lasagna. Why don't you color me a picture and tell me something about your day? And then once they get going on that, you could transition to, hey, are you hungry? This lasagna is actually like really good. Do you want to try a bite while you're eating there? What if you did that as a way to, instead of focus in on you have to eat this and you have to sit in your chair for this amount of time, make it a place that they want to be. And then once they've decided, okay, I actually like sitting down at the table because I get to color, because I get to hear about my parents' day and all the crazy stuff that they do all day long. Wow, that's so weird. I never knew that my dad was a firefighter. No one ever told me that. I didn't know that my mom was a nurse or, a teacher or whatever she does. Well, that's kind of interesting. If they just overhear those things while they're coloring, while they're telling you about their day, then eventually you can marry that with, hey, I bet you're hungry. You haven't eaten since snack time earlier today. Do you want to try a bite of this? Oh, okay. No, you don't right now. You're coloring right now. That's fine. Maybe in a little bit you'll want to. We'll just keep talking. You can keep coloring. If instead you focus in on, okay, the value is togetherness. What brings us together? Well, eating certainly is not bringing us together right now. Let's focus on something else that brings us together. It could be, sitting down and watching them color or talk about their day or play with some quiet small toys that don't roll off the table that then you have to constantly be up and down getting. What if that could be what dinner time looked like to start, and then eventually, once we have all, lost the traumatic experiences from past dinners, move to the place where, yeah, I know that you like to color. How about we color at the table until dinner's ready? And you can color at the table until dinner's ready, and then we'll move it away, because I don't want you to spill on your cool picture. I don't want you to spill on your painting, or I don't want to get paint on my food. Let's just move it away, and then after dinner we can color some more. Or, something along those lines with toys or something else small. You're bringing everybody together. The value is being preserved. The value of togetherness, the gather of mutual respect and connection is being preserved without the, you got to eat your broccoli. Take 3 more bites or you're not leaving this table and you're going straight to bed. Like, that might work eventually. That might get them to do as you say and be obedient, but at what cost? And are they going to want to sit at the table when they're 14 when they could otherwise, say they have a commitment or busy themselves because they really don't like dinner time? I mean, we're just thinking about the long-term implications of those things. And you don't have to beat yourself up for the way it's gone before, but going forward, what if we just changed that and made that a little more peaceful and a little bit more connecting and inviting, and took the stress of you got to eat your lasagna out of the dinner equation? Because as we've talked about on many previous episodes, You don't have to force your child to eat. In fact, you can't force your child to eat. And we know that, right? We can't force them to eat. We can only offer what we offer, and then they can decide whether or not they want to accept it and eat it, or if they are just going to have their plate and leave it there. And like I've talked about on other videos, if the best thing to do is make the plate that you want your child to eat, present it to them, allow them to then decide what they eat. And if they are not hungry, they can just not eat it. I don't think you have to make them say no thank you, or have some other phrase that you must say no thank you if you don't want my food. Instead, say, wow, it looks like you're not hungry. I'm just going to put this in the fridge, and then if you're hungry later, you just tell me, and then I'll get your food out and you can eat your food. Okay, great. You want a color? Great. That's what I would focus on instead of forcing eating. And it probably is going to take some time and some practice to get them. You might want them to sit at the table for 5 minutes, and that might be possible right now. And then in the future, you might be able to get them to 10 and 20 and 30 minutes. And I mean, we don't sit at the table for 30 minutes by any stretch of the imagination. So that would be an ideal sort of thing. Wow, that would be cool. But start really small, and you will be less dissatisfied that your child is not meeting your expectations or what you've dreamed up for dinner time to look like. Eventually you can get there, but you have to go small and in small increments. And that brings me to my third point, which is affirm and encourage the sitting at the table. Affirm and encourage whatever value that you're seeing play out when things are going your way. It feels like you shouldn't have to tell them that, wow, you sat at the table for 5 whole minutes and you didn't eat anything. Super job, Timmy. But if you start with, well, that was really good. You were at the table and you told me about your day and who you played with at recess. Or, wow, that was really nice. You drew me a picture while we were sitting together at the table. That made me feel really special because I got to learn what you did today. Just start with that. You don't have to make it sarcastic. You don't have to make it, just overflowing with gratitude for them gracing you with their presence for 4.5 minutes before they jumped up and ran away. Just start with where they're at and what they did well and affirm that, and then you'll see more of that. The more that you shine light on the things that you want to see, the more you will get that back and the more it will grow. What you water is what grows. And so when you see those things that you like, you affirm them. You say, wow, thanks for doing that. That was really nice. Thanks for sharing that story with me. Oh, wow, that's a really nice picture that you made me. Geesh, do you think you could do another? And then you've, really stoked their ego because, wow, my mom really likes my painting. My dad wants another one. Geesh, I must be a really good artist. That made me feel good. I'm going to sit at the table longer because I want to make them another painting or something like that. It's going to take time. You're going to have to go slow and steady to expect that things are going to improve dramatically. I would ask Siri or Alexa, whoever you got, remind me every 6 weeks to ask myself how family dinner time is going. And then you'll get reminded and you can think, okay, what has worked and what has not worked, and what have we seen that's worked and what have we seen that's not worked. It's really easy to get bogged down in, wow, that dinner was terrible. But in the grand scheme of things are better than they were 6 weeks ago. Wow, that was a real nightmare when we had our in-laws over and she threw her food and stamped off. But in the past 6 weeks, things have truly been better overall. And that was just, we probably didn't set ourselves up for success with that. It's very slow and steady. What I will say is, unless you have had really good experience with shows of force and demands and you must sit at the table for this specified period of time and you must eat this many Brussels sprouts and strawberries. If you've had success with that, I would love to hear it because I don't see that very often at our house or in my practice, where shows of force, those work well in combat situations, but they don't work that well around the dinner table. And it really just isn't the most pleasant thing to not look forward to family dinner time. So I want you to be able to look forward to family dinner time. I want your child to look forward to family dinner time. We might just have to, for a period of time, redefine what a successful dinner time looks like. Hopefully this has been helpful. I would love if you would comment below what right now would be a successful dinner time, because I think it will help others to see, okay, my expectations have been lowered a little bit. I am at a place where we can have a successful dinner time mean that we are all sitting together for 4.5 minutes. And that would be successful right now if no one ran away for 4.5 minutes. And then that's where we're at. That's a perfect place to start. Start there. Work your way slowly up. Ask yourself every 6 weeks, how's it going? Are things getting better? Is there something else that we need to change? Big picture. We want our kids to enjoy family dinner time. We want to enjoy family dinner time. There's so much wrapped up in it because it embodies so much that we have to break down those expectations to start to enjoy family dinner time more. Hopefully this has been helpful. Keep up the good work. And like I said, before I go, No Drama Dinners Workshop. We go into even more depth in there. Check it out. There's a link somewhere around here. Or just look on my website, raisinggoodparents.co. You'll find the workshop. It's free. No Drama Dinners Workshop. It'll get you what you need. Keep up the good work.